We are live. What is up? If you're watching this in the future, hope you're doing good. Just want to jump on here for a couple minutes, see if I can encourage some people and yeah, see if we can help some people out. I just ate some pizza and I've got really bad acid reflux right now. So I'll try to mute if I'm hacking. It is crazy. I hate acid reflux. I've had it for so long. But yeah, but the pizza was good. It was really, really good. I'm like a pizza fanatic. See, I just muted it so you didn't have to hear the madness. All right. Let's see if anybody jumps on here. Is anybody watching? Katie, good to see you. Hope you're well. Oh, thanks for the hearts. Can you feel the love tonight? Yes, I can because of all the hearts. I don't know who. Oh, easy with the eye emojis, Katie. Easy. No, I'm just kidding. Hope you're doing well. If you guys got any questions, let me know. You guys know how it goes. I'll be happy to answer a few questions. I mean, obviously, I can't help you recover from complex trauma on a live stream, but I definitely can, hopefully fill in some blanks and encourage you a little bit. And yeah, so just ask some questions: anxiety, panic attacks, depersonalization, realization, trauma, all that fun stuff. How was my day today? It's pretty good. What did I do today? So we had a meeting for our Rise program, which is great. Also did a few introductory sessions for 2 new people that signed up for the Rise program, which went really, really well. Just amazing people. I get to work with some of the most amazing people on the planet. I mean, it's really, really awesome. Some of the most incredible people ever. No problem, Amanda. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. So, Sub, I'm just going to call you Sub. So, if you're dealing with existential thoughts, and I assume you mean like constant existential thoughts, it's kind of more like an existential OCD situation. The number one thing that I tell people is don't get into the boxing ring with them. You're not going to beat them with your mind. You're not going to out-logic them. It's a waste of your time. And I know for me that whenever I was struggling with existential obsession and rumination, I wanted to be at peace while thinking about these really scary existential theories. I wanted to be able to think about that and still be calm. And I finally had to accept I'm not going to be calm while thinking about these things. And I had to start stepping out of the boxing ring. You have to lay the boxing gloves down. Don't try to wrestle with those thoughts. That's one tip that I'll give you. What's up, Phil? Good to see you, buddy. You said, good evening. Hope you're not as well. It's going very well. Thank you, buddy. Good to talk to you. And by the way, it got held for review. Somebody just said something really rude, and I did remove them. I don't ever respond to those people, so just be kind, guys. Like, you're not going to get attention. I'm not going to acknowledge you. I just block you and move on. So just be nice to everybody. These people are hurting, and it's just a waste of your time. Let's see here. When will we see more videos on narcissistic abuse recovery? That's a good question. I would love to do that. I actually am re-recording my entire program right now, and it should be done by Monday, my Rise program. And I've got a new approach that I'm really excited about, much more simplistic approach. So, between that and group calls and one-on-one coaching and sales calls and trying to be a dad and a husband, it's hard to do a lot of the things that I want to do, but I definitely will eventually do some videos on that. I'm very passionate to help people heal from narcissistic abuse. I've went through it multiple times, especially if you're dealing with a covert narcissist. It's just humiliating. Or not, well, it is humiliating. I meant to say it's frustrating because they're so covert about their tactics. But anyway, what's up, Daniel? Is time distortion and loss of inner monologue normal in DPDR? So you seem to be making one of the mistakes that is very common, and it's okay, but you seem to think that DPDR, like, think of it like a tree. Let's see if I can prop this up for a second. Imagine it's like a tree, right? You think DPDR is up here, and that there's all these other symptoms that are a symptom of DPDR, whenever really replace DPDR with a trauma state, which is a state of nervous system overwhelm. And there are several symptoms of nervous system overwhelm, including depersonalization, realization, time can feel distorted, your memory can be thrown off, and also a lot of trauma sufferers are also experiencing fight or flight symptoms or anxiety symptoms, which would be, obviously you know what anxiety symptoms are. So anyway, I think it's important, like, because depersonalization, realization is the most scariest of the trauma symptoms for most people, they kind of assume that DPDR are the root problem and that everything else that they're experiencing is a symptom of DPDR, whenever DPDR are simply one of many symptoms that people experience while they're in a trauma state. And so I just think it's important to understand that, because depersonalization, realization tend to become a distraction. They're so debilitating. They were the scariest thing that I have ever went through. And I've been through some pretty crazy stuff in my life, and nothing was more scarier than depersonalization, realization. But despite how scary that they were and are for people, it doesn't automatically make them the root problem. They are dissociative symptoms. In particular, they're a part of a trauma dissociation. So dissociation comes from a Latin root word that means to sever or separate. So whenever you enter a state of nervous system overwhelm, your body, brain, nervous system has a procedure to help you out, which is to depersonalize you, make you feel out of body, to separate you from your body, which could be about to be eaten by a lion, or separate you from the material world. Everything feels fake and dreamlike. That's derealization. That is a form of trauma dissociation that is designed to separate you from the overwhelm of witnessing yourself being eaten by a lion. But the symptoms are not the problem. They're actually there to help you, but it's the right symptoms at the wrong time. You're in a trauma state, a state of overwhelm whenever there's no threat. So the question is, what is happening in your body and life that's creating that overwhelm? And that is what we do whenever we help people recover. We take the focus off of the symptoms and put it on to really their body especially, but also their life, getting adjustments or making adjustments to reduce overwhelm in the nervous system, but also co-regulating. Let me tell you something, guys. Co-regulation is so powerful. Humans heal humans. Whenever you feel validated by another human being, somebody that understands you, it does something to the nervous system that no method could ever do. Is method important? Yeah, for sure. But co-regulation is extremely powerful. And other animals do this in the wild. Whenever, like, let's say an elephant gets into a tussle or, fight or flight response, or even the freeze response, and then successfully escapes, right? Let's say it's like a lion or something, or another elephant. I just read this today. Sometimes elephants will actually, like, kind of do a certain sound with their trunks, or they'll kind of slap their trunks together as a sign of kind of like, hey, like, I'm co-regulating with another elephant. I'm basically using co-regulation to calm myself down. So other animals look to each other, other mammals specifically, automatically co-regulate. And in fact, with human beings, whenever our brain perceives threat, the very first thing that our brain looks to calm ourselves down is other people. That's why you get on Google. That's why you get on Reddit. That's why you're looking on YouTube, is you're looking for somebody that can validate your experience and give you that confidence that you can heal. It's what I did whenever I was suffering, but unfortunately, all too often, people don't find co-regulation. In fact, sometimes they find opposite of that. Sometimes they find stress. They see comments of people who have been suffering for, a decade or more. Or people that say that there is no cure. And that just discourages them more. So anyway, our brains are literally hardwired to be healed by other people. And so I think that's the missing component in trauma/anxiety healing that a lot of people don't consider. We're made to heal each other. And anyway, it's a beautiful thing. It really is. And it's like, I went through all these symptoms, anxiety, panic attacks, depersonalization, realization, depression, emotional numbness, time felt distorted, health anxiety, existential obsession, phobias, like you just name it. And at the time, it was like, it seemed like only bad was going to come from that. But actually, me having gone through that and being able to tell people that and build that confidence in them and that hope in them that they can beat it too is one of the greatest assets that I have to help people. So what you went through can become somebody else's breakthrough. As corny as that sounds, it's true. Like, you can take your traumas, your pain, and end up healing and helping other people overcome that. Now, most people will never do something like I do, but even just your friends, your family, those around you, like, your breakthrough can become their breakthrough. And you're going to be able to relate with people suffering. Maybe it's people you work with. Maybe it's your friends and family, whoever it is, people at church, wherever, because you've been through it. And you're going to be able to co-regulate them. Anyway. Beagles Blockhead. That's a cool name. Thank you for all you do. I've been suffering from DPDR since I was a kid. Your videos helped to give it a name. Well, I'm very glad to hear that. Yeah, there are so many people that struggle with depersonalization, realization for literally years, over a decade sometimes decades, and they've never even gotten a name for it. Like, I think sometimes people forget that, they assume that because you know how to Google, you know how to get on YouTube, all this stuff that everybody does. There's a lot of people, they're just not technologically savvy or whatever, and they have a hard time finding information. It's definitely easier than ever before, but some people don't even know what to search. Like, they're feeling disconnected from their body. They're feeling like everything is fake and dreamlike, and they don't have the terms depersonalization, realization. I can't tell you how many times that I have told people about those symptoms who I know in real life. And then they were like, yeah, there was like a time that I went through that. Oh yeah, I didn't know that it had a name to it. I had a friend that I used to work with at a call center. And after I described DPDR to him, he was like, dude, I experienced that like all the time before bed. And I just like go to sleep and it makes it go away. I didn't know there was a name for it. So many people literally are experiencing these symptoms and they just don't know what the name is, right? But here's what I'll say too. I've been saying this on live streams. I'm not the DPDR guy. That's what everybody thinks, and I get it because I talk about the symptoms all the time. But the reason why I talk about DPDR instead of complex trauma, the reason why you'll see the titles of depersonalization, realization all the time, is because if I titled my videos complex trauma, nobody is searching for nobody. I'm using hyperbole. There's probably a few people. Nobody is searching symptoms of complex trauma. No, but I basically use depersonalization, realization as a way to meet people where they're at, meet them in their understanding, and then start to basically direct them towards the understanding that, hey, depersonalization, realization is a part of a much larger issue. You thought that you just had these annoying, terrifying symptoms showing up, but it turns out that those symptoms are actually not only not the problem, but they are the solution. They are your brain's solution to dissociate you from overwhelming stress in your body and life. And so what we need to do is figure out what's going on in your body and life that are leading your nervous system to believe that you're about to be eaten by a lion and that it's appropriate to dissociate you from your life and body. And typically, this is how complex trauma comes into it, people have a painful history. There's been a long history of stress and adversity that is built up, and then eventually, bam, there's some situation that causes them to hit overwhelm, right? Think of it like a cup of water. right? The stress builds up, builds up, builds up. And instead of you, being in your body and feeling that, the tension, adrenaline, emotion, releasing it, making appropriate lifestyle adjustments, people just don't know what to do. And so they start numbing. They start looking to nicotine and alcohol and social media, right? To numb their body, to escape their body, to escape their life. And while you're in your head or numbing your body, all that tension, adrenaline, emotion is building up. Because what's happened is, whenever you have a painful experience, either emotionally distressing or physically painful, either way, your brain forms a sensory trigger. Your brain takes a snapshot of all the sensory data that you're experiencing in that moment, and it assigns the procedure of either fight, flight, or freeze response. But let's say it's just fight or flight response, meaning you haven't hit a point of overwhelm yet in that environment. Well, the next time that you're in that environment, your body, your nervous system is going to start to deploy the procedure of fight or flight response. Tension, adrenaline starts to build up. And if you continually have all these sensory triggers because you've had all these painful experiences and you're not releasing that buildup, and especially if you start to avoid those triggers, the neural pathways of threat association are just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And that stress is going to build up like a volcano. And then bam, eventually there's going to be a volcanic eruption, right? And that's complex trauma, right? It's not just one big bad situation. It's a series of stressors that built up over time. And whenever I'm sitting in front of people and talking to them and they share their history with me, it's a miracle that I am not experiencing compassion fatigue, which is basically a form of secondary trauma where you get traumatized just by hearing stories or working with people who are suffering, because I hear stories all the time. It's usually whenever somebody first works with me. We don't do that whenever we're actually helping them recover, but they'll be like, hey, I went through this and this and this. And it's hard to hear, guys. Like, I'm like, oh, God, bless your heart. Like, that's a very Southern expression. Bless your heart. But anyway, people go through some stuff, man. And it's heartbreaking to hear. But I tell them, but it makes sense, though. Once you understand complex trauma, you're able to look at your history and get that closure. It makes sense. Oh, I went through this, and this, and this, and it all started to build up in my body, all the tension, adrenaline, emotion, fatigue, and I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to release it because nobody taught you. It's not your fault. And it all built up. And you couldn't find co-regulation either, so. Ruben says, isn't the whole nature of Christ helping the gamut of what we've overcame? Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. I mean, I'm a Christian, man. Like, I love Jesus, but more importantly, he loves me. My love for him doesn't matter. It's he loves me. I'm gonna focus because I'm like Jonah, man. I've ran from God so many times. I don't even want to. I will never acknowledge like, "Ooh, look at me." I'm many things. No. I'm the fact that God has mercy on my soul is proof that his love is unconditional. Because if it had anything to do with me, I'm going to anyway. But here's the thing: Christ, God, can send people into your life, though, right? Do I believe that sometimes God can show up in a moment and just fix stuff? Yeah, but that's not usually what happens, right? So just because, God may send somebody like me into somebody's life to help them befriend their body and release the buildup of tension, adrenaline, emotion in the body and give that co-regulation, that doesn't mean that it wasn't God that orchestrated it. God uses people. Like if you have a severe heart issue, is like, does God have the ability to sovereignly show up and fix it? Yeah, but is he probably going to do that? No. He's probably going to use a heart surgeon or something, right? He could, but don't think that just because God uses people that it's not coming from God. And also, I don't want to get too spiritual. I'll stop talking about this in a second. But I believe that God likes to do things in such a way that it requires faith, right? The Bible says without faith, it is impossible to please God. And so Hebrews says faith is the substance of things unseen, the evidence of things hoped for. So I think God likes faith and just trusting in him that let's say the help came from him because it requires trust. I think faith and trust are synonymous terms, right? I think to have faith in God is to trust God. And so if you pray, God, help me heal from trauma, and then he sends this weird looking nose guy with his giant Adam's apple and tells terrible corny jokes and he helps you out, like you got to have a lot of faith. But no, but in all seriousness, it's like, okay, was that God? It's like, it's kind of coincidental. I prayed, and then all of a sudden God sent somebody into my life. It requires trust. It requires faith. So anyway, I get Christians on here sometimes, and they're like, man, you just need to tell people to pray. You don't think I was praying whenever I was going through trauma and anxiety and panic and DPDR? Oh, I was praying every day. I was reading my Bible, and there's so many people like, just read the Bible. I'm not saying that that's not good to do, but sometimes natural issues don't require a spiritual solution, right? Right? If somebody has a natural situation, why can't there be a natural solution? Like if somebody's super overweight, they don't need God to show up in that case. I know a pastor guy that I follow sometimes, he says the liposuction angels hang out by the treadmill. But anyway, basically he's saying, like, if you're overweight, like, don't over spiritualize it. Go work out. Change your diet, right? Exercise. But anyway. Yeah, we can pray, but we also have to surrender ourselves to God and allow him to heal us. Yeah. And we may not always like the path that he provides. You know, I would love if every time that I prayed for something, God just showed up and instantly did it. Right? And it's like, you know, sometimes you'll pray for patience, and God will send a really difficult person into your life. It's like, God, I prayed for patience, and then you send Karen into my life. What? And God's like, hey, you asked for patience. Karen will help you be patient. Oh, man. Anyway, guys, I know that there's atheists and Muslims and Buddhists and agnostics watching, so I won't stay on the faith stuff. But anyway, I love you all despite what your beliefs are, but I just wanted to speak to that for 1 second. Oh, Marcia, if you're still watching, I'm so sorry to hear that you're going through that. Kiko, LeVar have been going through DPDR for like 4 years. I'm so sorry to hear that, buddy. Check out my 5 Shifts to Heal from Trauma Masterclass. The link in any of my videos, it's a free 45-minute masterclass, and it will show you the 5 shifts that you need to make to heal. I spent 6 months working on it. What's up, Adam? Good to see you, buddy. It's free, and there's a little button you can click. It'll say apply. You can fill out an application, and then after that, if you qualify, it'll go to a call to speak with me or my team, and we will help you. We'll be able to determine if we can help you in that call. Do I need to go out, baby? Anyway. What's up, Tim? Good to see you. Yeah, let's see if we can make something happen. I've got a couple different options to work with me. Getting pretty limited, but do have some space. We got flooded with people wanting to work with us over the last number of months. It's crazy. So what do I coach for? I'm a bodybuilding coach. So I help people, especially with the neck. I help them just really shape their neck and just have that real just masculine dominant neck structure. And so I'm basically a neck coach. And biceps as well. This is a small, guys. This is not a large. This is a small jacket. Yeah. No. I help people with complex trauma, particularly, which means people have a very painful history, and nobody knows how to help them, usually. And they try the mental health system, they try the medical system, they try popular programs, and just nothing seems to work. And a lot of people come to me, and it's like their last hope. And I got to tell you guys, I've been saying it a lot, and I promise you I'm not just saying it. This job is really hard. Like, this is like, I live and breathe this. Like, I work probably 60 plus hours, 70 hours a week, and I pour my life into this. And the only reason that I'm still doing this is because people are seeing incredible results. Oh my gosh, it just never stops. Like, we had, like, in our meeting today, our RISE meeting, a group coaching session, we had like One guy said he was like 70 to 80% recovered. And we had so many people on there sharing results about how they're changing their life. And I'm just like, we had a lady that went from not even being able to leave her house to going on a trip to, I think it was Italy or something like that. And she said she walked like so many thousands of steps, and like when was literally symptom free, except for in the airport, she had a little symptoms. But like, what the crap, dude? Just like these stories just blow my freaking mind. And I'm like, oh, it would be so much easier to walk away and do something else at this point. But the results keep me here, guys. And, you know, I just take that as an indication this is what I'm supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? Until people stop being helped, I'm just going to keep on going. So you definitely have a tough job, but many people are grateful for you. Well, I appreciate that. But yeah, I've accepted nobody will ever really know just how hard that it is. Even my wife. I mean, like, nobody will really know. And I'm not complaining or trying to woe is me or anything, but like, this is definitely a vocation. It's not, it's like, it's a mission. But it fills me with such a great sense of reward. And by the way, guys, I am going to start working on a book about trauma. I've been thinking a lot about it, and I've got an approach that I'm going to take with the book that I think is going to really help a lot of people. I think a lot of people, they look to books like, you know, Body Keeps a Score, which is fantastic, but it doesn't really give a lot of practicals. They look to Dr. Levine's books, which are great, but doesn't really give a lot of practicals. Anyway, I want to write a book on trauma that's very relational, shares a lot of my story, other people's stories, and also gives, you know, just some good tips to heal. But then again, you know, people need co-regulation. A book can't heal somebody, but at least I can give people a lot of good stuff. So anyway, I'm going to be working on that. What's up, Beto Morales? Been dealing with DPDR, so I think for the past month. Lately, I've been having existential thoughts such as, I can't seem to understand why I'm in my body. Is that common? Yeah, that's a very common thought. Anything where you're questioning existence, consciousness, the afterlife, your body, how your body works, all that stuff. It's like a hyper-awareness of your existence, and it becomes obsessive, and it's really bothersome. That's kind of more, you know, let's call it existential OCD. It's not just like you're occasionally questioning your existence like we all do. It's like you have like this hyper awareness of existence that you constantly meditate upon. All right, guys, I got another minute here, and then I'm gonna jump off here. It's getting kind of late. I think I'm gonna keep. So I've been running last 2 days straight. I've ran 3.1 miles. I'm preparing for a 5K in a couple weeks in our city, and that 5K is 3.1 miles. And dude, it's hard though. That's a lot of running, man. I'm having to turn on like some Eminem, dude, and he's, you know, he says a few cuss words every now and then. And but dude, there's this song called Phenomenal. Dude, that song gets me every time, dude. I put that song on, and I can run like Forrest Gump, man. So if I'm feeling down, I just put, I am phenomenal. Everything that I take, whatever it takes, it's gonna make me. You guys know what I'm talking about, or maybe you don't. I am from Arkansas, the great state, hog country. Go Hogs. People around here don't think that I'm from Arkansas, though, because I don't sound like your typical Arkansan. There was this time, it's been a while, but I was at a mechanic shop getting my car fixed, and the guy was like, yeah, that'll be $400. And I was like, okay, do you guys take debit card? And he went, what's wrong with your voice? Why do you talk like that? And I said, why do I talk like what? He's like, you don't sound like you're from around here, boy. Where are you from? I said, I'm from here. I'm from this city, actually, born and raised. And he was like, you can't be. I'm not saying everybody talks like that around here, but it's very common. It's kind of real slow like that. They say like that, not like that. They don't enunciate much around here. Yeah, I'm gonna go down there to the Walmarts, and they add an S, so they make things plural. Yeah, I was down there at the Dollar General stores, and they had a sale on Gatorade. It was pretty cool, man. I tell you what. Yep, I'm gonna go ahead and get me some long cut wintergreen, and jump in the truck with the boys, and go down there and catfish for the weekend. It's gonna be a lot of fun, man. You wanna go? And I don't say fishing. Everybody around here says hunting and fishing. And I always mess around. I'm like, would you like to go hunting? Would you like to go fishing? I enunciate it. It's like, you don't understand. But around here, I sound like I'm nuts. So JTP Productions or JT Productions, unfortunately, it's not as simple as that. There's not one technique that's going to get you out of this, unfortunately. 45% of healing trauma is co-regulation to begin with. But yeah, progressive muscle relaxation is great. But, there's more to it than that, especially if there's emotional numbness. But another thing I would add is, let's say you do progressive muscle relaxation and it creates enough calm where you can start to feel that emotion. Make sure that you release it. Don't suppress it. Okay, Gleb. Gleb Ignites. These names, man. Hope you're doing well. Are you asking that so that I could appease kind of an existential obsession that you have? Answer me that first. Because if that's the case, I don't want to answer. Because that's not what you need. If you just keep wrestling with these existential thoughts, trying to intellectualize them, out-logic them, you're not going to get anywhere. That's actually part of the problem. You're trying to get peace with your mind whenever you really just need to step outside of the boxing ring. You're not at a place right now where you can handle these questions. So just don't even try to fight it. Don't even try to intellectualize or outthink it. Hey, Karina, good to see you. So I can't diagnose, so see a doctor. Super important. But what I will say from an education perspective is that, chest, stomach tension is extremely common whenever somebody's body is constantly going into fight, flight, freeze, of course, right? And especially the more you enter the freeze, kind of the more hunched over you'll be, kind of have this hunched over posture. And if you're constantly having that hunched over posture, what's tightening up the most? Your chest, right? JT Productions, I want to be very clear. I can't help people heal over a live stream. And so that's the first thing. I am going to encourage you, and people are being helped by this, so I'm going to keep doing it. But watch the 5 Shifts Still from Trauma Masterclass. It's in the link in all my videos. That's going to really help you. But there's not, any techniques that are going to bring this major transformation, unfortunately. There's a lot more to that. We have to really identify what's causing stress in your life and then get a lot of co-regulation as you're working on those things, right? So. Anybody else got any more questions? My eyes are getting dry. Can family cause you issues? What kind of issues? But yeah, if you have a toxic family member that you are giving access into your life just because they're your blood relation, you have to fix that. You have to set up a boundary, a standard for your life that no toxic or abusive people get access to me. I don't care if it's my mom or my dad or my brother or my sister or my aunt or uncle or cousin, first, second, third, fourth. Nobody has the right to bring constant toxicity or abuse into my life because we just so happen to be a blood relation. I don't give two craps if we are blood relations if you treat me poorly. I have people that I've known less than 6 months that are closer to me than blood relations that I've had for my entire life. What I care about is how you treat me, and that's what you should be focusing on, right? But I work with so many people, they've got a blood relation, whether it's a mom or a dad or brother, sister, whatever, that's coming into their life, and they're using the fact that they're a blood relation to keep that door open, and they're introducing toxicity or even abuse, verbal, mental, emotional is abuse too, don't forget, into their life. And I'm like, yeah, try to have boundaries at first and see if they'll honor your boundaries, but depending on the situation, like, you might have to walk away. That should be the last resort. I mean, especially if they're a blood relation, like you got a history together, maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your dad, whatever, brother, sister, try to make it work. But if there's just a long history where they just won't honor your boundaries and they keep introducing toxicity, or there doesn't even need to be a long history if there's abuse. You shouldn't put up with that at all, even if it's just a day, right? Walk away. I'm telling you guys, I cannot tell you how many times that I come across this whenever I'm coaching clients where they're just not, well, they haven't been willing to walk away from a family member, and the family member has guilted them or manipulated them or used the fact that they're a blood relation. I've had this girl recently, she had her mom coming into her life and introducing all this stress. And every time that my client would try to get her out of her life, her mom would just like start crying and be hysterical and be like, you don't love me and I'm all alone now. And like, how could you abandon me? I'm your mother, and all this stuff. And would just like manipulate her and guilt her to being connected with her. And I was like, it's manipulation. Try to make it work, try to set up boundaries, but if it doesn't work and she won't honor your boundaries, like, you have to get away from her, right? So there's something called the nervous system war zone, and I'm going to see if I could, that's 5 things that I can never seem to quote. It's an environment that is highly aggressive, highly unstable, highly punitive, highly unpredictable, or highly chaotic. Yes, there you go. I said all 5. And if somebody is bringing a nervous system war zone into your life, you got to get away from them, or a job maybe, because you can't outregulate a nervous system war zone. Nervous system war zone means that the environment that's coming through that person or people is too severe for you to self-regulate and be able to make it in that environment without being extremely stressed. And that's one thing that very regularly I work with my clients with, is identifying people that are bringing nervous system war zones. And it's hard, guys. That's why, gosh, whenever I see those situations, I'm always just like, this is going to be a little bit harder of a recovery for this person. Because sometimes whenever you walk away from people that have had a foothold in your life for a long time, they're going to make you pay for it. There might be some severe consequences, and you have to be willing to go through that. Short-term hell to gain long-term heaven is what I tell people. You have to be willing to go through whatever you need to go through to get your life where it needs to be, no matter what the cost is. And you have to start prioritizing your health over everything else. If you make your health, your mental health, emotional health, physical, spiritual, emotional well-being the number one priority in your life, you're not going to tolerate a lot of stuff that you may be tolerating, right? I got to the point where I don't tolerate the smallest things anymore. I don't want drama. I don't want things that bring stress. Like I don't get involved in political debates, religious debates. I don't even watch the news anymore. I'm like, just draining my energy. But part of healing is you got to identify the things that are draining your energy and fix it, no matter what the cost is. Because you only have so much energy per day. And once you run out of energy, you get fatigued. And the more fatigued that you get, the more that your brain thinks that you're being eaten by a lion, that you're struggling to fight or flee, that you're entering into the freeze. And that's what will trigger trauma symptoms, is overwhelming fatigue and exhaustion. So are you willing to pay that price? I don't know. I always talk about the 80-20 rule. And it's true. It's very, very true. 80% of people are not willing to pay the price to change. I think it's probably less than 20%. I think it might be 15% or less. You can become the 20%, but usually people have to go through so much before they finally get to that point where enough is enough. Some people, they have to struggle for many years. Some people, again, they never change. And I see those people, I know some of those people, and I'm just like, it's hard for me to comprehend it because I did become that 15-20%, but I've just learned to just not wrestle with them, because if somebody has not suffered enough to the point that they're willing to make radical adjustments in their life to get freedom, there's nothing that I can do to change them. It doesn't matter how much that I want them to change. It doesn't matter how much you want somebody to change. If they're not ready to change, stop wrestling with them. You're just wasting your energy. And it is amazing to me how few people consider their energy levels. Like I tell people, you're not a machine. Like you don't have unlimited energy, right? And people, especially people pleasers. Do we have any people pleasers in the house? Like, reject that as a part of your identity. You are no longer a people pleaser. Don't ever identify as that, because what you're essentially saying is, I'm always going to put people's needs over my own. And that's not sustainable. There's disproportionately way more people that need help than you have the ability to help them, right? I am just one person. And whenever I'm getting tons of emails and tons of comments, these people don't know what's on my plate. They don't know that I have 70 people in my Rise programs right now. I've got probably about 20 private clients. I've got, 5 people that work for me. I've got a family of 5. Like, I don't have energy left, guys. I don't have any energy like left. After I do everything that I'm doing, I don't have much energy left. And so, if people get upset at that, they get upset, but I'm not going to feel bad. I'm pouring out all the energy that I can, right? And I'm also very careful to not waste my energy. That's one reason why I have so much energy to give, why I'm able to do this live stream for you guys after working all day. Why am I able to do that? Well, it's because I don't waste my energy on stupid stuff, caring about what people think of me. That's another thing, guys, and I talk about this a lot. Do not wrestle with people who have made their mind up about you. Never waste your time explaining who you are to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. If you discern that somebody has set their will against you, that they have some reason that they just don't want to understand you, do not wrestle with them. Just say, okay, that's fine. Just get away from them. Because if they have set their will against you, if they're seeking to misunderstand you, and you start giving them all this evidence why you're a good person and you're not who they're saying you are, you're going to walk away having drained your energy, and that person has the same opinion that they did whenever you started. There's this quote, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. Like, learn to let it be okay that some people are going to misunderstand you. And you guys are hearing this like, oh, talk about the symptoms, Jordan, talk about the symptoms. I thought this was the symptom. You don't get it. This is going to help your symptoms, right? Part of the reason that your symptoms are there is because you're exhausted, because you're draining your energy all the time. Everybody wants like a symptom-focused approach. Guys, the symptoms are like a check engine light in a car. They are not the problem. They are a symptom of the problem. The problem is that your body and your nervous system are exhausted. They are overwhelmed. They've reached max capacity. And the symptoms are a sign that your nervous system is going into fight, flight, freeze response. There's so much buildup in your body, so much chaos in your life that your brain thinks that you're about to be eaten. So we don't need to focus on the symptoms that are appropriate, that are biologically correct for the state that you're in. That is a waste of your time. We need to focus on conveying safety to your body and nervous system and identifying where you are draining your energy and fix that. And start to work from a place of rest and listen to your body and take enough breaks and get proper sleep and nutrition and get away from a bunch of stress and drama. Ain't nobody got time for that. That's the stuff that you need to be working on, not the symptoms. The symptoms are correct. They're biologically appropriate for the state that your nervous system is in. Why would you waste your time focusing on that? It's a waste of your time, right? Just like if you have a bacterial infection, are there things that you can do to kind of manage your symptoms, over the counter, drugs or whatever that kind of mitigate sneezing and coughing and all that stuff? Yeah. But you need to get antibiotics, right? That's going to get to the root of what's going on. And so many people waste their time focusing on the symptoms of anxiety or the symptoms of trauma or depersonalization, realization, whatever. And it's like a dog chasing your tail. Like, you're focused on the wrong thing, right? You're trying to accept the symptoms, distract away from the symptoms, be at peace with the symptoms, ignore the symptoms, whatever. That's like picking apples off an apple tree. Why don't you uproot the actual tree? Right? And there's many roots to this. And that's what a lot of people, that's one reason why so few people will ultimately ever deal with this, is because to really reset and rewire your nervous system, you have to deal with a lot of layers. There's things happening in your body. There's things happening in your life. There's things in your mind that need to be renewed. There's boundaries that need to be put into place. Guys, it's a lot of freaking work. And you're not supposed to tell people that. Marketing 101. I've had a lot of training in marketing. Don't tell people that it takes work, because they're not going to want to work with you. Well, you know what? I know that I'd probably turn away a lot of money by telling people this, but I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that you're going to be able to just do nothing and get out of this. You're going to have to make sometimes some pretty major adjustments. It's going to be work. Now, if you work with me, I'll make it as easy as possible. But you got to be ready to put in the work. There's just no way out of it, right? You got to make your health the number one priority, and then be able to make the adjustments that you need to make to mitigate stress, mitigate fatigue, increase relaxation and rest. There's a price tag on your recovery. And you got to address multiple things. And so your pursuit for that one thing that's going to fix all this, wouldn't it be nice? I get it. When you're suffering, I've been that guy on YouTube at 3 a.m. or on Google, just like typing in, depersonalization, realization cure or anxiety cure. Like, you just want that one thing that'll just make it all go away. Like, I get it, guys. I've been there. But there isn't that one thing. If you really want to get to the root of all this, there's a lot of layers that have to be addressed. It's like peeling an onion. So Ruben says, thank you so much for all that you do. All my love your way. Oh, thank you. Marcia, people pleasing is why I have DPDR and anxiety and gray hair. Yeah, I'm starting to get gray hair too. It's not because of people pleasing. Do you see that? Dude, you can see it on camera. Oh my gosh. Look at that, guys. You see that? Oh, that is trippy. I'm 34 years old, man. And I'm already starting to get gray hair. Look at that. No, it's just blonde highlights. It's not gray hair, it's blonde highlights. Sound like Mike Tyson, man. Yeah, I used to have tigers, man. I love the tigers, man. Back when I used to fight, I used to have the tigers, man. And I I'd bring him to my shows and or to the boxing matches, man. I love the Tigers, man. Oh, that was a terrible Mike Tyson impersonation. Love that guy, though. Karina says, is it normal for you to question whether or not you are experiencing depersonalization realization? Yeah, exactly. Of course, because it's so subjective, right? And you wonder also if maybe you're just getting used to it versus it's actually gone away. That's a very common thing that people will tell me. I remember going through that as well. Because after a while, it's like you kind of just start to live with it, right? Whenever you don't really know how to recover. And so your mind starts to tell you, like, maybe I've just gotten used to it, or has it gone away, or has my resistance to it just gone away? Yeah, that's a very common fear. Oh, for real, sorry to hear about this. You said how to deal with the loss of a loved one that's unexpected. So, first of all, I'm so sorry to hear that that happened. And I have a whole framework for how to heal from these types of things, but I'll just tell you one of the biggest things is just allow yourself to feel everything without judgment. All the thoughts, all the emotions, all the feelings, just let everything come up. Get alone if you need to, and just face and feel the emotion without judgment. You're going to feel a wide array of emotions. Also, keep your muscles as relaxed as possible because that'll help the emotions kind of process. But just face and feel everything. And, you know, sometimes the strongest thing to do is to be weak. I always tell people, like, your negative emotions that are stuck in your body, it's like this forest that you've been trying to go around, you've been trying to go over it, you've been trying to just forget about the forest, but here's a hatchet you got to go through. The only way out is through, right? And it doesn't make logical sense that we would have to feel bad to feel better, right? But that's how it is with emotions. Emotions are weird, right? Feeling bad leads to feeling better. It's just how it is. You got to feel it, face it, let the emotions peak and come down. And that's a very important part of it. So that's what I would say to you, okay? All right, guys, I've got time for one more question, then I got to jump off here. Getting pretty tired. If you ever seen Forrest Gump, I'm pretty tired now. Think I'll go home. Tarek. Ooh, a good question. He just says, hey. All right, I'll answer that for you. So a lot of animals eat hay, you know, horses. I don't know what other animals eat hay. No, I'm just kidding. What's the best way to combat derealization? Well, I mean, that's a lot. So I'm laughing just because there's so much. I mean, I've got like a program that I talk for like 6-7 hours just on all the neuroscience and the approach and everything. Check out my free 5 shifts to trauma, anxiety, panic, and DPDR masterclass. You go to my profile, there's a link, you can click on it. It takes you right to the masterclass. There's also a button that you can click on to apply with work with me and my team. But yeah, that's my answer to that. Sorry, there's just so much to it. That's the best answer. Cool. Okay, guys. But nice to meet you, Tarek. All right, guys. Good questions. Finlay and MA, I do got to jump off here. I'm very tired at this point. It's been a very long day. But I hope that has helped you. Good to see you guys. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. And talk to you soon. Take care, guys.